Hey guys, and welcome back. It's Jem with Happy Humble Home. So today, I'm actually gonna go ahead and show y'all how to make the homemade coffee creamer that I had mentioned in our last video. It's super easy. It can make great gifts for the Christmas season or just in general. So super easy, especially the fact that you know exactly what's in your coffee creamer. So let's jump right into it. Okay guys, so as I mentioned in my weekly update that there were several different ways you can make this. One way of the most common that people do is they use canned sweetened condensed milk that they buy at the store, which you can do that, or you can make your own homemade sweetened condensed milk, which is what I prefer to do, just because again, it's cheaper for me to do that. Well, maybe not cheaper, I guess it's probably about the same cost, but it just takes a little bit more prep work, and if that's not something you're wanting to do, then you don't have to. So the way I make my homemade sweetened condensed milk, and I'll leave a link in the description that has the recipe and all the instructions and the recipe that I follow for my homemade condensed milk, or for my homemade condensed milk and my homemade creamers. But for this, I just put 2 cups of raisins in here into 2 cups of milk. Now it can be any kind of milk. It can be almond milk, coconut milk, whatever kind you want, whole milk, skim milk, it doesn't matter. And you're just gonna leave that in your fridge overnight. And then once you're done, you just strain out the raisins, and it leaves you about 1.5 cups of your condensed milk. Now, this is not near as thick as, and you can also eat these raisins still. They're just nice and juicy now. You can actually go ahead and use regular condensed milk. It will be thicker, so this is a little bit thinned down, but you can add stuff like arrowroot or cornstarch to help thicken up your creamer a little bit if you're wanting that thicker flavor. Personally, I don't. Just the little boxes that I get, these are the little like 1 ounce boxes, and it takes me about 4 of these little boxes to make 2 cups of raisins, or I'm sorry, 1 cup of raisins for 2 cups of milk to make your homemade condensed milk. So at Aldi, I just can get like a pack of 8 of these small boxes for like 99 cents. So it makes it really, or a pack of 6. Yeah, pack of 6. So it makes it easy just to grab these when I go grocery shopping. I have them on hand, and then that way too, if my kids want to eat raisins, there's some here. But these are mainly kept for my homemade sweetened condensed milk for my creamer. So we have poured our homemade condensed milk, not creamer, why do I keep saying that, y'all? Sorry, homemade condensed milk in our container. Now we're going to add the rest of our ingredients. Now you're going to put about 1 cup, I believe it's 1 cup, 1 cup of milk. Now again, this can be almond milk, it can be coconut milk, whole milk, skim milk, whatever kind of milk you prefer. We're just gonna put 1 cup in here. And then I'm going, the recipe calls for maple syrup. I don't do the maple syrup. I have used just regular table sugar instead, or if I have honey, I will definitely prefer to use honey. So the recipe calls for 1.5 tablespoons, or no, sorry, 1 to 2 tablespoons of whatever kind of sweetener you choose to use. You can use stevia, you can use honey, you can use maple syrup, you can use regular table sugar. It's completely up to you and how sweet you want your creamer to be. I usually put about 1.5 tablespoons, roughly. I'm just gonna let that melt in there for a little bit. And then I put about 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Now, the recipe, like I said before, the recipe calls for arrowroot or cornstarch to help thicken it up. Personally, I don't do that because I'm okay with my creamer not being very runny. I'm okay with that, or not having to be that super thickness. Don't put the arrowroot or the cornstarch in it because I made a batch with it and I made a batch without it. I honestly couldn't tell the difference in the thickness, or if there was any. It wasn't enough for me to put the extra ingredients in it. I was good just basically having it my homemade condensed milk, honey, and then vanilla. I have also made it where I put just a little bit of cocoa in it to make it more like a chocolate mint. I've added like an extra I have also made it where I have made like a chocolate mint creamer where I put just a little bit of cocoa powder and a little bit of mint extract. I have made it where it's just strictly vanilla, which is usually the base. Like, this is my base. I always use this one, and most of the time that's what I stick with. I don't really add much else. The only thing I typically might add would be a little bit of mint, but once I get through with, once I've drunk all that creamer for the mint on the batch, I don't really want that mint flavor anymore, so I just stick with my vanilla. And if you have a vanilla bean instead, you can also use a full vanilla bean instead. Now you're just going to set this on the stove kind of on low, and you're really just letting everything melt together. You're really just letting everything melt together. You're letting it all kind of heat up and combining. If you put the extra arrowroot or cornstarch in there, you're getting that all melted. If you do the honey or sugar, you just want that to be nice and smooth. And then you just let it cool. You can pour it in. This is like a store-bought container that I've used once it cools off enough, and it makes, I guess, about that much creamer, maybe about between those two lines probably is about how much it makes. I never actually measured it. It would also be a really good gift idea if you had some of the little jars. It's almost like the little Starbucks jars that you can buy at Walmart, like the Starbucks coffee. Keep something like that, rinse it out. You can put a cute little tag on it. Or I use just a basic mason jar. So this is how much of my creamer I have left now, which is why I'm going ahead and making a batch. And this one right here is one that I did actually use canned condensed milk because I was out of raisins, but I happened to have the condensed milk on hand, which very rarely ever happens. So this has been the first time I've ever made it with it. It definitely is thicker first time I've ever made it with the condensed milk, like store-bought condensed milk. It definitely is thicker, which, again, I'm not too concerned about that, but if that's something you're really wanting, then maybe the store-bought condensed milk would be the better option for you. This one was a mint, just like a vanilla mint, so I only put like a ½ teaspoon of mint. It does not take much at all, and a little bit goes a long way. People sometimes put a little bit of cumin in there just for a little bit of spice, or a little bit of ginger. You could probably do like a little gingerbread. Put a little bit of cinnamon, nutmeg, and ginger in there if you want like a gingerbread creamer. The options really are endless of whatever you want. So that is the basic, easy homemade creamer. Like I said, I will leave a link to the recipe that I follow in the book. The recipe also does give a way to make your own homemade condensed milk if that's something you want to do. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So if y'all have any questions or comments, be sure to let me know, and let me know if you try this creamer and what kind of creamer flavor you try, because I love to hear from y'all. All right, I'll check in with y'all later.